Let's talk about atmosphere. More specifically, atmosphere in video games. The atmosphere of a game, while not talked about to the same degree as graphics or gameplay, is incredibly important to a game for a multitude of reasons. The atmosphere of a game can either amplify the immersion to new heights and bring the whole experience together, or bring it down by not matching the themes or attitude of the game. Atmosphere is more than just the surface level experience. It is multiple components that come together to build the experience, in addition to reinforcing the themes of the work. It affects how you feel as you play or watch a piece of media as a whole. The atmosphere of a game is what separates the Devil May Cry franchise from the God of War franchise, the original run, not the reboot, as both are hack-and-slash games that center their stories around deity-like beings. God of War finds itself more grounded, striking classical music and heavy Greek influence. The stakes are high and the world revolves around the conflict Kratos finds himself in. Where in Devil May Cry, the series has a more comedic and lofty tone featuring alternative rock music as its main score. The action of Devil May Cry makes use of its wild aesthetics by focusing on a dynamic experience held up with stylish action. While DMC can be serious, the tone is completely different from the somber world of God of War. Atmosphere can also be distinct amongst games within the same series, with our main focus today being Shin Megami Tensei V, a game very different from its contemporaries in the same series. Unlike the dark and sinister world of Nocturne, or the spatial horror of Strange Journey, V finds itself in a world full of uncertainty. A world torn asunder by holy war, you're left to uncover not only what has become of the world, but your place in it as a newly born Nahobino, a blasphemous fusion of God and man. How Shin Megami Tensei V tackles this imposing quest to godhood is simply amazing. The atmosphere created in the world of V is robust and captures the eerie world that has endured a holy apocalypse. By fusing the themes of ascension, recreation, and who gets to be in power with the audiovisual aspects of gaming, there is a masterful atmosphere to be examined. To begin breaking down what V does to create this perfect atmosphere, it's crucial to break down what atmosphere is made up of and how these pieces work together in tandem. First, we have the visuals. How does everything look? Does the style suit the story being told? With all these pieces, how do they fit together? Next is the audio. And in the case of this video, we're going to focus on the music, looking at what genres are used and what tone they set. How do these tracks fit into the game? Third is the method the story is told. With gaming, there is a multitude of ways that a story can be relayed to the audience. Is the game cutscene intensive, seen in games like Metal Gear Solid? Or does it rely on observation and exploration with games like Fallout? The method the story is told as well as the structure that it follows aid in the overall tone of the game and help immerse the player greatly. Lastly, there are the set pieces throughout the game and how they play into the theme and plot. Think of the bombastic moments seen in games such as Uncharted, Dark Souls, or even Sonic the Hedgehog. These leave a lasting effect on the player, as well as driving home the core points that the game is about. A brief moment before we get into this, but I will be as delicate as I can with regards to heavy spoilers, as the game is quite new and I'm not sure everyone has taken the time to play or finish it yet. That and I'd like for this to be enjoyed by as many people as possible, whether they're fans of SMT or not. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. Beginning from our first category, Shin Megami Tensei V looks gorgeous in terms of both world design and character design. The KSL have unique designs, both human and demon alike. The human characters primarily all attend the same school, outside of a few exceptions, such as Yakumo and Koshimizu. In spite of all attending the same school, these students have defining traits such as Dazai's trademark hat and Yuzuru's undone shirt. These subtle design quirks all nod to their personality while setting them apart. The demons of this world, outside of the series standard, all have stunning designs that pay homage to their original myth, but also incorporate into the world of Shin Megami Tensei wonderfully. The redesigned angels being one of the most standout of the bunch, incorporating that unnerving aspect by masking their faces, thus adding to the air of ambiguity, not knowing if they're truly the good guys in all of this. The most notable design being the fusion of the protagonist and the proto-fiend Aogami, the Nahobino. Combining the futuristic bodysuit of Aogami with the softer features of the protagonist produce a majestic form to behold. The unique attacks that Nahobino uses drawing inspiration from mythology, while retaining that sense of style and elegance. The Nahobino suits the atmosphere of the game by exuding the grace of a god, while upholding the wrath of a demon. Moving on from just the inhabitants of the game, the world itself is beautifully crafted. From real-world locations such as Joein High School and the Tokyo Diet Building, to the sprawling landscape of the Netherworld, also known as DAT, each location carries a unique mood and feeling to them. When exploring the world, no matter where that is, it has weight and clear intent with how it is designed. The best example being Dot, with its multiple locations. After the world was ravaged by a large-scale war between angels and demons, Tokyo is left in disarray. Exploring these ruins has a grim tone, as the world is now barren and empty. Wreckage is everywhere, with bridges torn in two and buildings abandoned with broken windows. The only life is found in the demons infesting what remains of Tokyo. In terms of atmosphere, the decision by Atlus to add the demons to the overworld as opposed to random encounters aids the feeling of a world being taken over. The harsh reality that no normalcy is left is hammered in with the overwhelming sands and brisk winds that permeate Dot. The layout of Dot is also handled excellently with regard to the atmosphere. The world the player navigates captures the post-apocalyptic essence by not straying away from deliberate debris and remnants of the old world, while keeping everything navigatable. Familiar aspects such as gargantuan shipping containers, cars, and such are left to remind players that this is the same world we live in, mixed with the sandy tundra and ethereal concepts that would only be possible in the Netherworld. Abstract cube formations dot the sky and demons flicker in and out of sight. Despite the bleak nature, the world still manages to be beautiful, these contrasting elements capturing the feeling of fighting against fate, pressing onward towards godhood. Aside from the landscape of Dot, there are a few dungeons within Shin Megami Tensei V, each of them adding another layer of depth to the world with their own unique design and layout. I won't touch too much on the dungeons as they fall into a spoiler territory, but they fit incredibly well with the tone of 5 by making excellent use of their themes. Especially so with the final dungeon, as it exudes the most ethereal vibe of the game, feeling tremendous in scale, both on a visual front and with its accompanying music. Next up is the audio aspect of the atmosphere, which consists of the many songs within the game and how they complement it. In the case of Shin Megami Tensei V, the soundtrack has a lot to offer. The overworld tracks consist of ambient music, overlaid with droning resonance and subtle sounds to truly play into the bizarre yet compelling world of Dot. There is an industrial feeling to a lot of the songs, which combines that uneasy feeling of being in a new world, with sounds that feel familiar enough to a listener to be calming or reassuring. Hints of familiar sounds are thrown in, such as sounds that resemble airplanes as they fly overhead or car sirens. They're both dark and inspiring, matching the march through the merciless environment of Dot. In the same vein are the battle themes, which have a myriad of different feelings and sounds to them. Heavy guitars and drums can be heard with echoing chants all coming to add to the tension and scale of the battles, cascading together varied genres to create a result that amps up players and feels diegetic with the world itself. As the battles grow in scale, so do the themes. Facing off against more tenacious foes throughout the story is matched with themes that parallel the strife. Some of the bosses towards the end of the game boast their own unique theme, which vary to suit the tone of the fight. Without delving too heavily into spoiler territory, I can say that the final boss's theme is one of the most striking examples of how the melody creeps along, with dissonant sounds that cause a feeling of emptiness and cautious fear, crescendoing to a point of higher tension, all while remaining elegant and intense. I know my description sounds complicated, but trust me when I say that it's a track that really captures that theme of ascension and anxiety, truly facing off with an opponent whose scale cannot be explained with simple words. Stepping away from the sound and visual aspects of the atmosphere, we need to examine how the story of Shin Megami Tensei V is told. With storytelling, there are dozens of approaches, some common such as the hero's journey or the Freytag pyramid. However, the route that SMT V falls in line with is the Fichtean curve. This method of storytelling follows the protagonists as they overcome growing conflicts, building upon these to a penultimate climax. From there is the falling action, which shows the results of all that the protagonist has gone through. Why is this structure important? It plays perfectly with the atmosphere of Shin Megami Tensei V. The protagonist, being thrown into an otherwise unknown world against his will, forced to become a godlike being and face conflict, is a perfect setup to follow the Fichtean curve. Threats come in the form of various bosses, growing in scale until reaching the climax of the game. Here is where the defining choice is made, and everything that follows is a result of that choice. This harmonizes with the atmosphere the game has created, as well as blending with the theme of challenging ideals of the past and ascending to godhood. The path is rocky and covered in blood, but through determination the Nahabino blazes his trail. Aside from the structure of the story, there is a number of characters throughout the world which build upon the lore of the game. These characters offering hints at how the world has become decrepit, or explaining elements that are happening behind the scenes. The full experience comes from both engaging with the mainline story, as well as the exploration of Dot. The world feels lived in, as you can find micro-societies tucked away across the map. Demons of Dot have their own culture, and this all can be discovered to add to the immersion. Gaps can be found within the story, where the protagonist will be occupied with the duties that entail becoming a god. Within these gaps, side characters will be on their own conquest and evolving alongside you. These white spaces allow characters to go through changes and face their fears, possibly returning in a new state than last seen. SMT V makes use of these cognitive gaps to aid not only the story, but also the tone of the game. Unknowns are frequent within the atmosphere, amplifying the tense and ambiguous nature of the game. Lastly, I'd like to take a quick look at the set pieces of SMT V and how they reinforce the atmosphere of tension and mystery. Set pieces work to build the world and accent the atmosphere that the game is aiming for. These serve the plot as well in pushing the tension or excitement of a scene. The moment where the Takanawa Bridge collapses, leading to the Netherworld, is an excellent example of the set pieces found in 5. Dazai being whisked away by angels and the protagonist being left alone to ponder what had just happened, only giving himself a brief moment to recover before setting off into the seemingly endless desert in front of him. Moments later, being attacked by demons and abruptly fusing into a new being entirely. This sets the tone for what is to come within the game, but also works as an introduction to the world itself. There is no turning back from this point. Set pieces like this are all throughout the game. Massive moments surrounding formidable foes are opening up new mysteries that leave the player curious. As the game goes on, these scenes only grow more, working to aid the esoteric atmosphere that SMT V has to offer. All of these aspects work together to create the perfect atmosphere for a tale of godhood, power, and mystery. Each one builds upon the other, the audio complementing the visual direction. The set pieces create the appropriate tension, while working with the ever-growing threats the story offers up, culminating in both a mystical and masterful atmosphere that bring this title to the next level entirely, representing how it would feel to be in a world previously undiscovered, the uneasiness and anxiety moving forward, the determination required to push through and uncover the truth of it all. Bonds are formed and broken, with enemies looking on waiting for the right moment to jump. The thematic elements of ascension and who deserves to be in power brought to light through each detail. The ambient soundtrack, the cold visuals, and chilling set pieces laid across the story of high and low. As the tagline suggests, godhood awaits, and the atmosphere makes this abundantly clear. If you've made it this far, then thank you for watching. I hope I was able to bring some light on what a great game Shin Megami Tensei V is, and how the atmosphere really ties everything together. I've been slowly getting more and more into this series as it is ripe with amazing titles and the overall religious and demon vibes. It's really great stuff. If you'd like more videos like this, then comment down below. Let me know what you think, leave a like or subscribe or whatever you can. Anything helps. Bye.